Hey, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic so wild, it sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster, a scenario that could absolutely flip our understanding of geopolitics on its head. We're talking about the unthinkable, the improbable, the utterly mind-bending idea of what if Iran and the USA actually got drawn together again? I know it sounds completely insane given decades of animosity, sanctions, proxy wars, and a relationship that has been anything but friendly. But what if a monumental shift, a crisis of epic proportions, or perhaps even a quiet, pragmatic realization forced these two nations to find common ground to actually cooperate? Imagine for a moment a world where the headlines aren't about escalating tensions or new sanctions, but about joint initiatives and shared goals. It's a thought experiment that pushes the boundaries of our current reality, forcing us to consider how quickly the world can change and how unexpected alliances can form under immense pressure. This isn't just about political maneuvering, it's about imagining a complete paradigm shift that would send ripples across the entire globe, reshaping alliances, economies, and even the very fabric of international relations. So buckle up, because we're going on a deep dive into the catalysts, the benefits, the monumental challenges, and the truly global impact of such an astonishing turn of events. First things first, what in the world could possibly bring these two sworn adversaries together? It would have to be something truly extraordinary, something that transcends their historical grievances and ideological differences, a force so powerful it compels them to put aside decades of mistrust. Perhaps it's a global catastrophe on a scale we've never seen before, like an unprecedented climate crisis that threatens both their coastal cities, their food supplies, and their very way of life, demanding unified action. Or maybe it's a new, truly existential global pandemic, far more devastating than anything we've experienced, requiring a level of international scientific and logistical cooperation that forces even the most estranged nations to collaborate for survival. Another possibility could be a radical internal shift in leadership within both countries, happening almost simultaneously, driven by an overwhelming popular demand for peace and economic prosperity. Imagine new generations rising to power in both Washington and Tehran, wary of endless conflict and sanctions, prioritizing the well-being of their citizens above all else. This kind of synchronized political evolution, though incredibly rare, could create a window of opportunity for dialogue and reconciliation that simply hasn't existed before. It's about a collective exhaustion with the status quo and a desperate search for a better future for their people. Or consider a regional collapse so profound, so threatening to both their interests, that a pragmatic alliance becomes the only viable path to stability. We're talking about a scenario where extremist groups gain unprecedented power across the Middle East, or a massive refugee crisis destabilizes multiple nations simultaneously, creating a vacuum that neither the US nor Iran can afford to ignore independently. In such a dire situation, where their respective spheres of influence are collapsing and new threats emerge, they might find themselves with a common enemy or a shared imperative to restore order. This isn't about friendship, it's about survival and strategic necessity. And let's not forget the sheer economic necessity that could drive such a change. Both nations could face such severe internal economic crises that cooperation becomes the only viable path to recovery and long-term stability for their respective populations. Imagine a world where global trade routes are disrupted, supply chains are shattered, and traditional economic models are failing, forcing nations to seek new partnerships and open new markets out of sheer desperation. When the well-being of millions is at stake, even the most entrenched political positions can begin to soften, and economic pragmatism can sometimes override historical animosity. Now let's dream a little and explore the incredible rewards that could come from such a rapprochement, a new dawn if you will. The most immediate and profound impact would undoubtedly be an economic boom for both nations, particularly for Iran. Imagine the lifting of all sanctions, allowing Iranian oil and gas to flow freely onto global markets, significantly impacting energy prices and diversifying global supplies. This would unlock immense wealth for Iran, enabling massive infrastructure projects and improving the lives of its citizens who have long suffered under economic isolation. Simultaneously, American investment would pour into Iran, bringing in much-needed technology, expertise, and creating countless jobs across various sectors. New trade routes would open up, fostering a vibrant exchange of goods and services between the two countries and potentially across the entire region. This isn't just about money, it's about creating interconnected economies that build a shared stake in peace and stability, making future conflict less appealing and more costly for everyone involved. It's about creating a web of economic interdependence that makes going back to antagonism almost unthinkable. Beyond economics, such a partnership could usher in an unprecedented era of regional stability. Across the volatile Middle East, imagine a joint US-Iranian effort to stabilize nations like Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan, where both countries have historically played significant but often opposing roles. Cooperation against ISIS, Al-Qaeda, or other extremist groups would be incredibly effective, leveraging both countries' intelligence, military capabilities, and regional influence in a coordinated manner. This unified front could finally bring lasting peace to conflict-ridden areas, reducing humanitarian crises and allowing millions to rebuild their lives. Energy security would also see a massive transformation. Iran's vast energy reserves, combined with American technology and market access, could reshape global energy dynamics, stabilizing prices, diversifying supplies, and reducing reliance on single sources. This collaboration could also accelerate the transition to cleaner energy as both nations invest in renewable technologies and share expertise in sustainable development. It's about creating a more resilient and environmentally conscious global energy landscape. Furthermore, a thawing of relations could lead to an incredible surge in scientific and cultural exchange, fostering greater understanding between the peoples of Iran and the United States. Imagine academic collaborations, joint research projects, student exchange programs, and cultural festivals that celebrate the rich histories and artistic traditions of both nations. This kind of people-to-people diplomacy is crucial for building long-term peace, breaking down stereotypes and fostering empathy across cultural divides. It's about realizing that despite political differences, people often share common aspirations for peace and prosperity. And let's not overlook the potential for enhanced counter-proliferation efforts. A truly cooperative Iran and US could work together to prevent nuclear proliferation in the region, rather than being at odds over Iran's own program. With shared intelligence and a common goal, they could establish robust monitoring mechanisms and collaborative security frameworks that enhance global safety and reduce the threat of nuclear weapons falling into the wrong hands. This shift from confrontation to cooperation on such a critical issue would be a monumental achievement for global security. But let's be realistic, this vision of cooperation is not without its monumental challenges, a mountain of obstacles that would make this process incredibly difficult. The most formidable challenge would be overcoming the deep-seated mistrust that has accumulated over decades of propaganda, proxy wars, and historical grievances. Generations in both countries have been raised with narratives of the other as an enemy, and dismantling these deeply ingrained perceptions would be a monumental generational task. Trust is built slowly through consistent actions and shared successes, and any misstep could easily reignite old suspicions. Internal opposition in both Washington and Tehran would be fierce and relentless. Hardliners in both political systems who benefit from the current adversarial relationship would vehemently oppose any reproachment, potentially sabotaging efforts through political maneuvering, media campaigns, and even direct action. They would fear losing their power bases, their ideological purity, and their perceived moral high ground, making any move towards cooperation a political minefield for leaders on both sides. This internal resistance could easily derail even the most well-intentioned efforts. Regional spoilers would also emerge with significant force. Countries like Saudi Arabia and Israel, who have historically viewed Iran as an existential adversary and relied heavily on US support, would be deeply suspicious and potentially actively work against such an alliance. They would fear a dramatic shift in the regional balance of power, seeing a US-Iran partnership as a betrayal or a threat to their own security interests. This could lead to new regional alignments and increased instability in other areas as traditional allies react to the new geopolitical landscape. The issue of human rights would also be a major sticking point for any long-term partnership. The US would face immense pressure from its own public and international human rights organizations to address Iran's human rights record, which has been a consistent source of criticism. Reconciling American values with the realities of Iranian governance would require delicate diplomacy and potentially significant internal reforms within Iran. This is not just a political hurdle, but a moral one that would need careful navigation to maintain credibility. And of course, the legacy of Iran's nuclear program would remain a complex issue even with cooperation. While a new era of trust might lead to greater transparency and verification, the desire for national sovereignty and the right to peaceful nuclear technology would still be a sensitive topic. Any agreement would need to be robust and mutually acceptable, ensuring that Iran's energy needs are met without raising proliferation concerns for its neighbors or the international community. It's about finding a balance between trust and verification that satisfies all parties. Let's consider some specific areas where cooperation could actually begin to take root. Building bridges one step at a time. Climate change is a universal threat that transcends national borders and ideological divides. Both the US and Iran are major energy players and are increasingly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, from droughts to extreme weather events. Joint research, investment in renewable energy technologies, and shared strategies for climate resilience could be a powerful starting point for collaboration, demonstrating a shared commitment to a global challenge. Global health presents another compelling area for cooperation. The experience of recent pandemics has shown that no nation is an island when it comes to infectious diseases. Collaborating on pandemic preparedness, vaccine development, medical research, and public health initiatives would benefit both populations and the wider world. Sharing expertise and resources in this critical field could build goodwill and demonstrate a practical commitment to mutual well-being. It's a low-politics, high-impact area that could yield tangible results quickly. Cybersecurity is yet another domain where shared threats could necessitate shared solutions. All nations, including the US and Iran, face constant threats from state-sponsored hackers, criminal organizations, and other malicious actors. Sharing intelligence, developing common protocols, and coordinating defenses against global cyber threats which target critical infrastructure and national security could be a practical and mutually beneficial starting point. It's about recognizing a common enemy in the digital realm. Infrastructure development offers tangible economic benefits for both sides. US expertise and investment could help modernize Iran's aging infrastructure, from transportation networks to energy grids and telecommunications. This would not only create jobs and stimulate economic growth in Iran, but also open up new markets for American companies and foster deeper economic ties. It's a win-win scenario that builds physical and economic bridges between the two nations. And finally, cultural preservation could be a beautiful way to build bridges. Both nations have incredibly rich and ancient cultural heritages. Working together on preserving historical sites, promoting cultural exchanges and supporting artistic endeavors, particularly in conflict zones, could foster mutual respect and understanding. It's about celebrating shared humanity and recognizing the universal value of art and history. The ripple effects of such a rapprochement would be nothing short of revolutionary, fundamentally altering the global order. A US-Iran alliance would profoundly transform the Middle East. It could lead to a more stable, less conflict-ridden region as the two major external and internal powers find common ground on security and governance. This shift could force other regional players like Saudi Arabia and Turkey to adapt their foreign policies and potentially seek their own rapprochements with former adversaries, creating a domino effect of de-escalation. The impact on major global powers like Russia and China would also be significant. Both Russia and China have complex relationships with Iran and the US, and a US-Iran alliance would shift geopolitical alignments in profound ways. It could reduce Iran's strategic reliance on these powers and alter global energy markets, potentially leading to new economic and security configurations across Eurasia. It's about a recalibration of power that would force every major player to reassess their strategies. Ultimately, if two such entrenched adversaries could find a path to cooperation, it would offer a powerful model for conflict resolution worldwide. It would demonstrate that even the deepest divides can be bridged, that historical grievances are not insurmountable, and that pragmatic self-interest can sometimes lead to peace. This would inspire hope and provide a blueprint for resolving other intractable conflicts, proving that diplomacy and dialogue can triumph over decades of animosity. It's a testament to the human capacity for change and the unpredictable nature of geopolitics. So what if Iran and the USA got drawn together again? It's a scenario that seems almost impossible today, a true leap of faith into an unknown future. But as we've explored, the catalysts are not entirely unimaginable, the benefits are immense, and while the challenges are daunting, they are not necessarily insurmountable. This isn't about predicting the future, it's about exploring the boundaries of possibility and reminding ourselves that the world is constantly changing. It's about understanding that even the most deeply entrenched conflicts can sometimes yield to new realities, new threats, and new opportunities for peace. The path would be long, arduous, and filled with setbacks, requiring extraordinary leadership, immense courage, and an unwavering commitment from both sides. But the potential rewards: a more stable Middle East, a more secure world, and a powerful example of reconciliation are tantalizing enough to make us pause and consider the unthinkable. It forces us to